Item Number SCP-2467. Object Class Keter. Special Containment Procedures. Foundation satellites are to constantly track the movement of SCP-2467 with analysis and programs predicting the movements of the object with plants in the meteorological bureau to divert traffic from areas likely to be visited by SCP-2467. In addition, the SCP-S Sunderland, a fully armed Legend-class cutter, will be dispatched to patrol areas where SCP-2467 is likely to come into contact with other vessels. SCP-S Sunderland is to be equipped with a minimum of 2 rigid-bottomed motor lifeboats to aid in rescue of survivors in encounters with SCP-2467, along with high-impact naval weaponry to aid in discouraging the object from attacking civilian, merchant, and military vessels. Absolutely no aircraft is to be deployed in the area of SCP-2467's area of operation due to the severe weather phenomena associated with it. Where possible, waste dumped by SCP-2467 is to be collected by Foundation watercraft and taken to the nearest Foundation research site for study. A disinformation campaign is to be run following a boarding and/or abduction event. Typical explanations to be provided include user error, sinking via rough seas of rogue waves, mutiny, and pirate encounters. Amnestics are to be administered to any and all survivors and witnesses of SCP-2467 and its activities. Description: SCP-2467 is a large ocean-going ship approximately 300 meters in length and 45 meters in width, bearing the nameplate DV Tolika. Research personnel have been unable to find any record of a ship matching the Tolika's description that has been registered at any point in the last 138 years. Of note is that components of SCP-2467 came from a wide variety of other seacraft, including some such as the flying bridge dating back to at least the 1700s, along with various naval weapons which operate autonomously. It primarily travels in deep water and searches for other vessels in an effort to abduct crew and appropriate cargo before leaving the vessel adrift. Weather patterns in a 5-kilometer radius of SCP-2467 constantly display adverse and at times violent conditions regardless of and often in a direct contrast to the given ocean state at the time. Observation has shown near constant moderate rainstorms and thick fog in the area surrounding SCP-2467, accompanied by a moderate to strong winds and slightly rough waters. In addition to the rain, wind, and fog detailed above, winds have been known to reach speeds of over 125 kilometers per hour, and waves reaching an average peak of height of 25 meters. When attempting to disable another ship, it should be noted that there are outliers, such as the 42-meter, believed to have a combination of SCP-2467's weather-altering effects and the rough sea state at that time. High wave recorded on February 20th, 1958. This is the only known instance of SCP-2467 successfully bringing down a low-flying aircraft. Whirlpools of varying severity have been also spotted appearing in the buff rig of SCP-2467 on multiple occasions. SCP-2467 is operated by a maintenance crew corresponding to approximately 75 individuals abducted from other vessels encountered by the object. Observers have shown that those on board SCP-2467 tend to adapt to the stress of their abduction and behave in a manner described as cheerful within a short time following abduction. This is believed to be a form of mind-affecting anomaly, as shown by any person coming into contact or close proximity with SCP-2467 for an extended period of time, 3 to 10 days, depending on the individual. Coming to believe that SCP-2467 is correct in its actions and will gain a strong desire or obsession towards aiding it however possible. Gradually, this causes a degenerative condition in the brain of the person to the point where the individual loses any semblance of independent thought at approximately 4 to 5 months after initial contact. Roughly every 40 days, SCP-2467 dumps a large amount of waste bundled into a net out of a rear port in the ship. Waste materials tend to be composed of damaged or worn ship components and tools, along with food scraps, empty bottles, clothing, scrap metal, fuel waste, and human cadavers. Addendum 2467-01. Following incidents, SCP-2467-12, Foundation personnel recovered waste materials deposited by SCP-2467 are to work in teams of 6, with a minimum of 2 personnel to monitor the water for approaching sharks and other marine carnivores, presumably attracted towards SCP-2467 due to its frequent dumping of edible material and cadavers. Addendum 2467-02. Known vessels are currently incorporated into SCP-2467. Various sections of SCP-2467 has not been matched to known watercraft, given that a ghost ship is typically discovered once every 2 years. Efforts are being made to determine just how many of these can be attributed to SCP-2467. Vessel name: Toluca. Description: 16th century ship of the line. Date reported or missing recovered: 2710-1745. The explanation of disappearance: commandeered and presumably had sunk by pirates. Parts integrated into SCP-2467. Flying bridge: 20 cannons. SV Seabird. Merchant brig: 80802, 1750. Crew taken by pirates. Anchor: various timbers. HMS Hirotsu. 22-gun privateer brig: 1404, 1806. Lost at sea: 7 cannons. HMS Juno. 26-gun frigate: 12-3, 1880. Sunk by a rogue wave. 3 cannons sails. SS Rota. 150-meter steamship: 26-7, 1909. Sunk in a storm. 2 masts hull. U-52, German armed submarine: 2002, 1940. Destroyed in a naval minefield. Hull sections torpedoes. Roma, Italian battleship: 2009, 1943. Sunk in a naval battle. Hull sections, brigs, and structural components, various guns. MS Munchen, Lash Carrier: 1912, 1978. Sunk by a rogue wave. Hull sections, cranes. MV Derbyshire, Oil Carrier: 0909, 1980. Stuck in a typhoon. Hull. SS Admiral Lukimov, Ocean Liner: 2002, 1989. Collided with another vessel, Bow Funnels. FV Andrea Gale, fishing vessel: 2810, 1991. Sunk in a 1991 hurricane. Hull sections. USS Eldridge, Cannon-class destroyer: 1111, 1999. Sold for scrap. Hull sections: 3 times MK, 2250 caliber guns, 20 times 40 millimeters, MK1AA guns, 18 times 20 millimeters, MK4AA cannons, 3 times 530 millimeter torpedo tubes. Cast 2, 9 meter yacht: 1804, 2007. Pilot air glass. Psychibus P-77. Guided missile destroyer: 2409, 2011. Decommissioned. 76 millimeter gun, 40 millimeter gun, 4 times millimeter 38 exocet launcher, hull sections. Addendum 2467-03. Recent observation has shown a hull section identified as having originated on the SS Edmund Fitzgerald, which disappeared on Lake Superior on November 10, 1975. Investigation into how 2467 reached that Edmund Fitzgerald, despite its location in an inlet, lake is ongoing. Clearance 2467-3. Documents 2467-1. In an effort to better understand SCP-2467, particularly events and any notable events occurring on board the vessel, 4D glass personnel trained in sealing SCP-2467-01-04 were provided with a small 9mm yacht dubbed the SCPS Joyetta, launched from the SCPS Sunderland and given orders to sail north for the SCPS Sunderland, tailing them at a distance of 7 kilometers, with the intention of them being boarded and abducted by SCP-2467 to observe the activities of SCP-2467 and its effects on those aboard. Each D-Class was fitted with a helmet, waterproof video camera, and equipped with a flotation device and an external battery pack, rendering it capable of recording uninterrupted for up to 3 months. Footage captured was streamed directly to the SCPS Sunderland Observational Department. Note: due to the length of this test, extraneous and inconsequential events and details have been redacted for brevity. 12/10/2000 something. 10:25 a.m. SCPS Joyetta was successfully launched from the Sunderland and Pretty Sea stores. Progress in Test 2467-1 continues without incident or double activity for 5 days. 17/10/2000 something. 12/2/29. Both the SCPS Joyetta and SCP Sunderland make visual contact with SCP-2467 to the northwest. 2:31 a.m. Strong westerly storm is manifested by SCP-2467. Waves of an average 4.56 meters and wind speeds of approximately 55 kilometers per hour are recorded. Fog rose, reducing visibility to roughly 5 meters. SCP-2467 sounds its foghorn, and D-Class cameras showed blue lights at the location of the vessel. D-2467-04 displays fenders. 2:39 a.m. 2467 approaches the SCPS Joyetta upon sight of 2467's weaponry. D-2467-01 turns the vessel 180 degrees and attempts to retreat from 2467. 2:40 a.m. SCPS Joyetta ordered to return and approach 2467. D-2467-01 fails to comply. 2:40 a.m. 2467 fires harpoon in SCPS Joyetta, fatally injuring D-2467-02 and drawing the Joyetta to its hull. A boarding party consisting of 5 crews boards the Joyetta and attempts to abduct the surviving D-Class personnel, resulting in a determination of D-2467-01, D-2467-04, and one unidentified male from the boarding party. 2:48 a.m. 2467-03D, what aborts 2467, is handled by an unidentified crew member and told to scrape rust from sub panels under threat of physical violence. D-2467-03 complies. 3:10 a.m. SCPS Sunderland successfully recovers in the SCPS Joyetta with no parts aside from the supplies taken from 2467, leading Foundation personnel to believe it had recently boarded and cannibalized parts from another, as yet unknown vessel. Notes: as in the event of the 7/10/2000 something, all records of events are entirely documented by D-2467-03's camera. Sorry, I had to pause for a while. Moving on. 23/10/2000 something. 4:50 p.m. Video feed shows D-2467-03 is displaying signs of distress and pushing uncontrollably, loaded with basic operations to crew members of 2467. All crew, with the exception of D-2467-03, are audibly humming in an unidentified tune in Nusian. 30/10/2000 something. 11:23 p.m. Video feed shows D-2467-03 still displaying signs of distress, hauling in a fishing net with 3 other crew members in an as yet unheard voice, hereby referred to as 246701, seeming to come from the flying bridge. Order crew member Warrington to be brought to the flying bridge for crew members. Apprehend a young male crew member and escort him to the flying bridge, which has the door open. This is the first of only 2 times the door has been recorded open. Door 2. The flying bridge closes after a warning data is deposited inside. Vocalizations of the stress produced from the flying bridge are audible for the following 7 days. 21/11/2000 something, 6:55 a.m. Video feed that shows that D-246703 is swabbing the portside deck, showing lower levels of distress. A lighthouse on the coast of redacted comes into view, seemingly prompting SCP-2467 to adjust its course and head into more open waters. 30/11/2000 something, 12:47 a.m. Video feed shows that D-246703 is still showing distress, but is no longer requiring guidance by other crew and undertaking tasks on the ship. D-246703 is securing hatches on the deck when a crew member looks to the starboard bow, spotting a fishing ship identified as the Grendel. Entire crew, save for D-246703, gather on the deck, equipped with grappling lines and ladders, as SCP-2467 is seen to produce a very large plume of what appears to be black smoke from one of its funnels. Smoke enters the cloud cover above, producing a meteorological reaction. Heavy rains, waves up to 7 meters in height, and wind reaching 7 kilometers per hour are recorded. Crew of the Grendel seem to request assistance from SCP-2467. Both crews work together to secure the Grendel to SCP-2467, followed by the 6 crew members of the Grendel being coursed into SCP-2467 under the pretense of weathering the storm. 1:15 p.m. A crew member belonging to 2467 is seen to produce a diving knife and fatally assault the captain of the Grendel, identified as Mrs. Redacted. Remaining crew members are escorted down into a lower deck as D-246703 and 3 other 2467 crew descended a ladder onto the Grendel and salvaged food, water, fuel, timbers, and a segment of the hull, requiring a crane to lift onto SCP-2467's deck. 9/12/2000 something, 3:22 p.m. Video feed shows that D-246703 is showing minimal signs of distress, laughing at an anecdote told by one of the 2467's crew as she sweeps the deck. D-246703 then hands her broom to another crew member and approaches the captive crew member of the Grendel, identified as Mr. Redacted, and addresses them as they work, leading to a brief dialogue transcript as follows. "You should jump off now before it changes you. There's a big ship following. There might help you." "Wait, what do you mean?" "The song gets in your head, makes you happy, makes you want to say, okay, I'll jump, but you come with me, we can both escape." 9/12/2000 something, 3:26 p.m. D-246703 disregards Redacted and returns to work. Note: Redacted was recovered by the SCP Sunderland approximately 20 minutes later and held for examination for a period of 6 weeks before being administered amnestics and returned to her family. 5/12/2000 something, 6:13 p.m. Video feed shows that D-246703 no longer displays any signs of distress and now hums with the crew of 2467. 8/12/2000 something, 8:05 a.m. D-24 SCP-246701 orders Smith and Chi to report to the refused center. Video feed shows 2 heavily malnourished men, crew members known to be present prior to the abduction of D-246703, enter a lower deck. They are no longer seen at any point on D-2467-03's video feed or during observation by the SCPS on Sunderland. 26/12/2000 something, 11:19 a.m. SCP-2467-01 is heard ordering a crew of delivered D-2467-03 to the Flying Bridge. Video feed confirms D-2467-03 is once again displaying severe distress and attempting to exit 2467 was hazed. Crew of 2467 showed coordinated teamwork in D-2467-03's capture, apprehending her at 3:52 after D-2467-01 was heard. Crew escorts D-2467-03 to the Flying Bridge, with the video feed showing the door swinging open autonomously. The second recorded instance of this occurring. Interior of the Flying Bridge is obscured by an intense blue-green light, and it seems to cause increasing amounts of static and tracking errors as D-2467-03 approaches the doorway. Video feed cuts out as D-2467-03 is thrown bodily into the doorway at 11:23 p.m. 8:04/2020 something, 12:19 p.m. Video feed resumes, showing total darkness until the camera abruptly emerges to the room, evidently out of a pipe, on top of a pile of refuse to be dumped off into SCP-2467. Contents of refuse bin include scrap metal, empty oxygen tanks, broken tools, several body parts, and a torn D-Class jumpsuit, confirmed to be that worn by D-2467-03. Stained with blood and other unidentified fluids. The camera lens also appeared to be coated in the same material staining the D-Class jumpsuit. Sounds of distress echoed down the pipe, consistent with D-2467-03's voice, albeit heavily distorted. 8:04/2020 something, 12:29 p.m. 2467 crew member enters the room and manually places waste products into a fishing net, ties the fishing net closed, and punches the net and its contents into a port of the floor. Video feed ports lead to an opening in the stern of 2467 dead in the water. Note: waste net and camera were recovered by the SCPS Sunderland at 12:45 p.m. Closing statement: following review of the footage gathered and DNA testing of the human remains recovered from 2467, it was discovered that human remains contained within the waste collected did not belong to D-2467-03. Following discovery, orders were given to collect any and all waste products dumped by 2467. In an effort to determine how long it would take for D-2467-03 or her remains to be dumped by SCP-2467, tooth, hair, and isolated skin fragments determined to belong to D-2467-03 were recovered on the 2:05/20 something at 12:47 a.m. Research concluded that an as yet unknown process has caused D-2467-03 to undergo a form of catabolism, breaking down tissue into a liquid state. Lack of other remains suggests that the resulting material was used for an unknown purpose on board SCP-2467.